Hey guys, Absolute 5 here again. So we're talking about what makes a teacher good, since we talked about what makes a teacher bad. So you could easily just take the opposite of what I said in the last video for each case, but just for the sake of argument, I will just say what are the 5 things that make a teacher good. And one is that they care about the students. They go above and beyond what most teachers normally do. For example, again, if a teacher, so number one is that they go above and beyond for their students. It could be anything, whether they help them go online with Skype, they talk to them through a private session, they stay after class, they help them with their problems if they have any issues understanding concepts. And in general, they are very respectful and mindful of the student. Number 2, let's see, what's number 2? Number 2 would be they give a lot of advice for the students and techniques. For example, they always give other options rather than just one option to solve a problem. Or if not to solve a problem, a different method to understand a concept. So for example, let's say a student doesn't truly understand fractions, and they might be a visual learner, so they might show pictures of circles, of pies and pizzas, or if not just that, they give real life examples. So for example, like how to balance your money, budget your money, and how to turn percents into fractions, decimals, and etc. in that way. So this way, the student it may seem confusing when you explain all 3 at once, but it shows the student that they're all the same thing, just represented in different ways. And it's better to have multiple options than just to be limited only one way to solve a solution, when in reality, there's millions of ways to solve a problem, but as long as we come to the same answer, that's all that really matters to me, honestly. So, for number 3, what's the 3rd tip that makes a teacher good? They're adaptable. They're not only stuck with their ego in the sense of, I've been teaching for 25 years, I've been known to be a great teacher, my teaching style is the best, and that why should I change? No, that's the problem. Being adaptable is sticking with the current times. If you see students are using technology, and technology is a huge asset right now, and that students are children are growing up with phones, tablets, laptops, the internet. And if you're completely ignoring that concept, you're being an ignorant professor, and that your job is to be adaptable, to say, how would I add this style, this teaching, this technology to my style of teaching? And for me, I just try my best to stay up to date with what students are talking about. I try to do my best to help relate the material to what they are understanding with technology, especially with social media, memes, stuff like that, even stuff on YouTube. Even popular people on YouTube, I reference those people and try to relate that to their views, their rates, how much money they make, stuff like that. What's the 4th? What's the 4th tip that makes a teacher good? And that would have to be, that might be 4th or 5th, I think, but it's fine. I'll give an extra one, why not? So another tip, it relates to being humble, which is also related to the ego. So I think this is number 5. So being humble in the sense that if a student, teacher, assistant, or anyone else in the room attempts to correct you, You do not have an outburst and say, oh, you're wrong. You didn't do all this stuff wrong. I did everything right. You're the one who's wrong. And the thing is, when you react that way, it tells your students that, oh, this is a guy I can't talk to. This is definitely somebody who's a egotist, a narcissist, that I don't really think this person would understand my needs if I really need to talk to them one-on-one. And it's true. There are some professors that they have their egos so far into the ground and up there, you know what, they can't see anything other than their own ego. And that this has happened to me. I was corrected on the spot for a basic problem, and that I was saying, well, I actually learned something, and I actually admit that openly. So this way the students can see that, wow, he did something wrong and he was okay with it. Meaning that I'm open to hearing your ideas, your options, your way of thinking. I'm open to those types of ways of learning. So if a teacher is not humble at all, then they're not a good professor in that sense. So being open and humble with your students is another good sign of a good teacher. And for fun, I'll add one more. What makes a teacher good? Trust and communication. If you cannot be open with your feelings to a teacher, then that teacher is a bad teacher, in the sense that, like, they're closed off. Their heart is closed off. Like, their heart space is so closed off that they're not able to be themselves, and they're not able to be honest and truthful and trusting to you as a student. So it is your responsibility, part of the student, to spot these traits and to say that, hey, this teacher is not really being genuine. They're being dishonest with us, and we have to catch him on that. Him or her, excuse me, because it's not just men, there's also female professors as well. Okay, so those are my tips on spotting a good professor, and that you need to stick with them as much as possible, okay? So it's been Absolute 5. I'm Roger Palomino, and be sure to like and share, subscribe to my channel. And oh yeah, and math is infinite because there are infinitely many possibilities.